So, Hannah, welcome to my channel, Effortless Being.
Hello, Rob. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes,
It's a pleasure.
thank you so much for coming on. I had saw your interview with David Bingham, and it was great. It really inspired me to want to reach out to you and have you on.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind. I really enjoyed the video too. I really enjoyed the talking with David. Yeah, he's such a great person. He helped me so much. It was really such a cool opportunity.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of people who have talked to David. Myself,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know my story at all about how my
No, not so much. I would love to hear about your story a little bit.
Yeah, let me tell you. So the way I came in contact with David Bingham was through The Greatest Secret. I had heard him on the audiobook. I had been a fan of Rhonda's, books. The first one was The
Yeah.
Secret, and
Yeah.
then I was interested in like manifesting, creating your own reality, creating the dream life that you want through like relationships, money, financial freedom, like all those things, were appealing to me. I was like, oh wow, this sounds great. Vacations and
Yeah,
cars and all that kind of stuff.
great.
So that kind of resonated with me. But then when I was trying to apply all that, it was like a lot of effort and striving and vision boards and all this
Oh
stuff.
my God.
I know.
I know that. I know that so well.
Do you know that? Have you heard of The Secret?
Yes, sure, sure. No, actually, it's funny because for me it was quite similar too. Yeah, it was like that. Yeah, all these things like you open this world of like manifestation and like it's magic. It's great. It's cool to experiment with all of that. And I applied all this stuff too, and it's great. But in the end, I really got burned out by that almost.
Mhm.
It's so
It's a lot of hard work and striving and like trying to efforting. It's almost like admitting like, well, I don't have it already. And then as you know, when you discover your true nature as impersonal, effortless being, the impersonal beingness, you're already whole and complete. It's almost like when you're manifesting, like a lot of people are manifesting from lack, almost like you're coming from lack. So you're saying like, I don't have the money, I don't have the happiness, I don't have the joy already. But in reality, our true nature is all of us are just remaining as the infinite being right here, right now, the impersonal, effortless being. But yeah, that was appealing to me like before I had realized my true nature. And so then David was speaking on The Greatest Secret, which was Rhonda's next book that she came out with. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, sure. Been through that as well.
Okay, it sounds like we had similar paths.
Yeah, it's really similar. It for me it just popped up as well. Like for me, yeah, the audiobook showed up. Like not the physical book so much, but the audiobook as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still don't have the physical book. Mine was the audiobook as well.
Yeah, same.
I thought
Yeah.
she did a really good job with the audiobook because she had like all like the background and like the voice. Like you could
Yeah.
even hear David Bingham's voice or Muji's voice, or I don't know if you know who Muji is. He was in that book as well.
Yeah.
Different non-duality teachers,
Yes.
were in that book, but you could really hear their voices and even the backgrounds of it. It was pretty cool how she did it.
You know what? I think I listened to, I'm not quite sure anymore, but I think I listened to the German version.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah,
Was it like that? Did it
maybe.
have like all like the
No.
like
I mean, of course, not the original voices.
no? Okay, yeah.
No,
Ours they had
no,
the
I
actual
don't. Or
voices.
am I mistaken? Oh God, it's so long ago. But I
The only
don't
voice
think.
that wasn't the same that they just used like a regular voice, like Eckhart Tolle's voice that was in there wasn't his voice, but Muji's voice was in
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Rupert
And
Spira,
David's voice too.
David's voice was in there. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
and
really?
that's actually
Cool.
when I realized my true nature because he said in there he goes, "You are the infinite being having a human experience." Something just clicked like with that. I was like, wait a second, this whole time I thought I was like this separate person called Rob and lack, and I had all these problems and all these issues because my
Yeah.
mind was telling me this story about who I was, but the whole time it was like a case of mistaken identity. The whole time I remained as this effortless being, this impersonal, being. So when he said you are the infinite being, I'm like, it's almost like I knew that. It's like re-remembering it or something. Like I kind of knew that already, but it was always just right here.
Mhm.
Everything's always just been appearing effortlessly in this open space of beingness, effortlessly and equally. And it has been that way the whole time, but the world puts these labels and conditioning on you, thinking that you're this separate person and you have these limitations and all this stuff. But when you said you're the infinite being having a human experience. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what this is. This is like a human experience. It's like the infinite being peering in, through these eyes, through my eyes, through your eyes, and you're having a human experience. I'm having a human experience, but it's still unity consciousness. We're still all one. It's just the infinite
Yeah.
being peering through it. The infinite being isn't affected by anything happening in the manifestation in the world, in this world. It's like an illusion, dreamlike. And I come to see it like as like maybe like a virtual reality game in a way. That's kind of
Yeah,
how I see it. But that's been
definitely.
kind of my experience. When I heard that, so I sent an email to David and I was like, wow, you're the infinite being, I'm the infinite being. I know this already. And so we exchanged a few
Wow. So
emails. Yeah,
it was just the book for you who
it
did
was
the
just a book.
biggest
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
That's
Just the book,
cool.
just hearing those words. And I sent it to him. And
Wow.
he was like, yeah, you're self-realized. He
Amazing.
goes, do you mind doing, this is before he had the YouTube channel. He goes, do you mind doing an interview? I did something for Nothing Media. So I did an interview with the girl out there, and then I started getting people contacting me. So they're like, she was like, well, maybe you should do like a YouTube channel. So I was like, all right. So I did a YouTube channel. That's how the YouTube channel got
Mm.
born. And people started contacting me through there. And I know David was sending some people my way too, like just to talk to, because
Oh,
and
wow.
it worked out great. Like I don't know, just now I got people contacting me all the time, like
So
wanting to
nice.
discover their true nature. So a lot of people are learning about their true nature,
Wow.
I should say realizing what it is already.
Yeah. Yeah. Effortless being at work, doing the
Yeah.
work for us.
It's just like natural effort. I could never, from a person standpoint, like who could think of it? But when you're as the effortless being, everything happens easily and effortlessly for you. It's naturally. Everything's always happening that way anyway. It's just like the mind likes to come in later with its thoughts and take the credit
Mhm.
for it, saying, I'm doing this or that. But meanwhile, every life's just happening effortlessly.
Definitely. Absolutely. And how long was that ago for you, this realization, the book, the
Jeez.
quote?
Been about maybe I lose track of time. It's like there's no time. A couple of years, I guess, maybe 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
she released the book in like 21 or something like that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was right when it first, yeah, I don't know. It was like shortly I don't know how I came across it. It just, like I said, I was interested in The Secret, and then I heard that audiobook, and then it just
Wow.
resonated with me, and David's words did. So that's when I had reached out to him. Then I watched a lot of his stuff on YouTube, like his, with Conscious TV, and everything
Mhm.
he's saying was like, yeah, I was resonating with. And they even talked about John Wheeler. I don't know if you're familiar with who he is. John Wheeler, that's where David had
Yeah.
realized his true nature. And I listened to he had like a radio show where he would keep pointing to, your true nature as the infinite being. And that it was like that resonated as well. So I don't know, it's like all those things just came about, and then people started contacting me effortlessly. I just made myself available. And next thing you know, then I came out with a book, and I was going back and forth with David. What do you think about doing a book? He's like, yeah, if you want to, yeah. So I did it. He's like, hey, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll write the foreword for you. So he wrote the foreword
That's
for the book, which is Awakening to Effortless Being.
that's so
Yeah,
great. Wow.
realizing
I
infinite
haven't seen the
self.
cover yet. It looks
Yeah,
so
because
cool.
Pixel designed it. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Pixel.
wow.
Yeah, so it's out on Amazon now, and it's doing really,
Oh,
really well.
congratulations.
Yeah. And David's like, first pages are about David's forward. He wrote the forward actually on the book, which
Oh,
was cool.
that's so
Yeah.
nice.
And then you have people contacting me through there. So I just think it's great that people are, the effortless being has different ways that it's effortlessly drawing
Definitely.
people to you, and you could never really design how it's going to work
Yeah.
and how it's going
No,
to
it's
go.
just orchestrating everything quite perfectly, right? In the right
Yeah.
time as well, no?
Right. And I find like a lot of people like that have been in contact with David and realizing their true nature. I've interviewed a lot of them too on the channel, and a lot of them, it just seems like effortless being is, it's almost like it's like their life purpose, like they're here to help others, um, perceived others to learn their true nature as the effortless being. Have you noticed that in your experience, or people been asking you like, what's this realization you had, Hannah, or anything like that?
I mean, I'm not really talking so much about it in my day-to-day life. I think I quite this thing goes quite under the radar a little bit in my because I mean, in the end, like after realization, it's not so much that shifted. There's a lot that shifted internally, a lot. But my external life is just like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
Hannah. just
It
walking
is pretty
around,
much the same.
Yeah, and it's it's great. It's and I don't really yeah, I just know, I mean, I feel when there is an openness on the other side or from the other person, I
Mhm,
feel like I can talk, like
mhm.
sometimes I say something or this like the conversation, yeah, conversation just happens like effortlessly around that subject. So yeah, that happens. And also with my closest family and my partner, I can share these things too. Um,
How is your family and partner? How are they responding to this?
yeah, I mean they are quite receptive, They are quite interested, receptive, and also I also feel like there is every time there is a bigger opening, like um, yeah, just a, a really a big receptivity, and they are spiritual themselves, so it's not like I don't know, they don't really think I'm woo-woo or anything like that. At least I hope that. Yeah, but yeah, I think things just unfold naturally, and I think I feel when it's a good time to speak about it or about something, and yeah, it just develops quite effortlessly. And even some people they come to my life where I feel, yeah, there is an openness too to that. But if I don't feel that, like I just go completely, like I don't really need to, I don't know, force anything or
Of
talk
course not.
about with someone where I don't feel resonance. And that's fine too. Like
Right.
it's all quite smooth actually. Yeah.
Everything's just happening the way it should be and effortlessly. So it's all just going to unfold. And what you find too with your intuition, you'll know like when the right time is. It'll just be like the next logical thing.
Yeah.
It'll be like an easy expansiveness, like a naturalness, kind of like how we're talking now, just naturally. It'll just like flow out, and there's
Yeah,
no need to
exactly.
plan it or put forth any effort. You'll find that it'll just flow like with ease, just like
Yeah.
you are now, the way that you realize your true nature is effortless being. It's an effortlessness and an ease to it, a realization of everything's
Yeah.
happening just the
Yeah.
way it is.
It's true. And also what for me fell away is like I don't need to push anything, like having an agenda in my life, like not it tells it for some people it might seem terrible if you say you don't really have ambitions
I
in
know.
life.
Yeah. I get,
But,
I totally get
you
what
know,
you're saying. Yeah.
I'm just like,
You don't have
yes,
to
more
strive hard and have all
ambitions.
these goals that you got to achieve and you got to have
Yeah,
this
oh my God. And
plan.
I had,
Yeah.
I had all of that.
Of
Yeah,
course.
I
Me
did
too,
all of
before
that.
all of
Been there,
this.
done that, but oh yeah, it's just so good if you don't think that you need to prove anything to yourself or
Mhm.
others. You
Isn't that
can just let
relaxing and refreshing to know that?
Yes, exactly. It's so good. It's so deeply relaxing because yeah, in the end, um, yeah, there's just this and it does what it does and it takes care of itself and the most beautiful things anyways happen when you step out of your own way, no? Um, and if you constantly try to push and control and want things your way and having this huge pile of expectations about yourself and others and your life, like, oof, that's so heavy. Like I really don't yeah, I'm really happy that this is not part of my life anymore.
Yeah, now it's just effortless being, things arising effortlessly for you. Now we hear people talk about like integration, integrating this
Mm.
self-realization into your everyday life. What could you say about that?
Oh, that's wild.
That's wild.
It's wild. Yeah, for sure. It's yeah. Yeah, it is wild because in my head before I thought like when you see your true nature. suddenly everything is absolutely bliss and perfect and fine and nothing else, no discomfort will show up or whatever. But yeah, it's not for me. And and it was interesting to see that after realization for me, very strong emotions came up. And I tried, like I struggled with those emotions for some weeks and months, and then I realized, oh, wait a second, I don't need to struggle with them. And I just realized that they had nothing to do with me.
Right.
And in that moment, they naturally subsided. And since now, when there's discomfort showing up, physical or mental, I just make myself as open as possible so it can just float through, as yeah, as actually in its own pace, but much quicker than before, because there's not so much stickiness to it. There's not so much surface for it to stick. It doesn't mean that it's always easygoing and quick. I mean, it is much quicker, but sometimes I can still get caught up in a thought train, or in some difficult emotions, and it gets yeah, it sticks around a little bit, but for me, the basic level of feeling is quite attuned and also peaceful, that it's very easy for me to notice when something is off. I notice it like immediately, and I try to, as quickly as possible, find some minutes for myself to drop in the heart and invite everything that's coming, and then it processes quite quickly and quite easily. And yeah, and that's the emotional side, and yeah, well, whatever shadow work side that's just coming up. I mean, and on the other side, I'm just using time every day consciously to sit, in effortless being, and as well, um, in unity consciousness, as much as I can. Notice everything in unity consciousness whenever I can, and yeah, try
When you
to.
say unity consciousness, look, tell me more about unity consciousness.
Well, um, for me, it's like, mm, I can experience as a field rather than the separate person,
Mhm.
um, and it all becomes um, equal, and there is a feeling of love arising for everything that arises in the field. Like, I can either sometimes I start with noticing just the sounds, and then I open myself, and I see that all the sound is me, and then this love bubbles up, and it just expands. It's so beautiful.
That is beautiful.
And yeah, and then everything is just me and love, and it's really amazing. And the same uh for any yeah, any sense. Like, it could be the sight, it could be sound, it could be sensations, and anything can be a portal. And that's my kind of way I approach it in that kind of way, that sometimes I start with the sound, sometimes I start with the sight. Um, yeah. And it still feels like I have to remember myself a bit with that. It's not that, for me it's absolutely, I'm in that consciously all the time, but it feels like I can choose to be there. And it integrates more and more, I feel, and it expands more and more. And it's just so enjoyable that there is not really an effort in trying to remind myself, because every minute I have, it's just like, yeah, well, whatever, what other place to be, right? Like, separation doesn't really feel amazing, so
Right. And you can only be right here. You're unmovable. You're right here.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, and I think like this kind of just needs some time to filter in. And for me, like I it's just like half a year since I saw my true nature. So I guess it just like yeah, just needs some time to just filter in.
Filter
And
into integration period.
yeah, but
I,
it's beautiful. It's really nice. I enjoy it a lot.
I really like how David talks about when because I heard you talking about the thoughts, how he was viewing them, like you view them as like invitations.
Yeah,
You know, they're like invitations that are coming. You
yeah.
see it that way?
It helped me so much that way of seeing it. Because I think it's easy if in this whole non-duality world you can you start to be able to access your true nature. I mean, at least for me, it was like that um, in a more conscious way. But for me, it was more like alone at home, very peaceful, very quiet, and there I could feel this this presence and this equanimity and peace. But then when I went out from my meditation pillow to go in the real life, then it just felt as painful as before. And for me, that's why it was so helpful that David said, yeah, there are invitations that come and you can actually see them and reject them. And that will actually decline your suffering. And it helped me so much. Like I didn't see that before, that it was possible to do that. So yeah, it was like it's a huge help. Was
You
that for
feel, did you
you?
feel like more like, yeah, for me, it felt like I felt more empowered that because
Yeah.
before sometimes you don't think you have a choice, you know, like
Yeah,
thoughts are just
exactly.
coming and you're just reacting to the thoughts. But when you view them as an invitation, some space opens up and you're saying, well, this is just a thought that's arising, you know, in me in this space of consciousness. And so, you know, do I want to go to the depression party, the joy party? You know, I view
Yeah.
them as different parties like I can go to. Like, you know, when people like invite you to a party, like maybe they invite you to a birthday party, you really don't like the person that much, you're like, you're not feeling it. It's just like, no, you politely just say no, thank you. But I mean, if it's a
Yeah.
really fun party or something like that, I was like, yeah, I'm in. Let's
Yeah. The
let's
joy party, let's
yeah,
go.
let's have like if a joyful thought arises, okay, I'll
Yeah.
entertain that. You know, I'll give that some focus, some energy. You can use your power of attention, and like Dave was saying, like it's like an energy game, like the demiurge and all that kind of stuff, the dualistic world, and we're giving our power to it by giving it our focus and our attention. We can, you know, we can
Mm.
we can control that to a certain degree that we can do that by just remaining as the pristine, effortless being and because we have everything already, so there's really no reason to really to do anything to really unless it's like a party I guess I want to go to and I want to experience that. I mean, before that it was just kind of like you just thought like life was dictating itself to you
Yeah,
or you know and
definitely.
everything was happening to you. But there's no separate you or me for it to happen to. It's because when you realize your true nature that, you know, you're the open space of beingness and it's impersonal and these thoughts and images and emotions and body sensations, they're all arising in this, like you said, this unified field of beingness, this unity consciousness, and it's all for me, like when I hear the sounds, like if I can hear sounds, like I always say, like, where am I hearing these sounds? And like if you close your eyes, like and you hear sounds, they're all happening, you know,
Mm,
within you. It's not like outside of you, you know.
exactly.
And that was a big
And
thing
with
for
yeah, exactly. Same. Yeah. And they arise in the same field as the thoughts. There's no more importance to the traffic than to any thought, like I don't know, could be a thought about low self-esteem or whatever. Like it's the same. It's literally noticed exactly in the same way. It's just what the mind pulls over and makes one thing more important than the other, or
Mhm.
seem more personal than the other, but it's
All
all
the
the same.
same, right?
And yeah, and this really changes the game. And also, what I also think is important to when we talk about the declining the invitations, the not so pleasant ones, um, is that when we are already in this headspace, it feels very difficult to think, okay, this is an invitation and I can decline it. Whereas I think when we drop more into the body with the energy, like it's like kind of a dropping from here down to the heart, there is suddenly space, enough space to to see that you can do that because if we stay up here with our energy, then it comes almost like an argument with the invitation, you know, and you're trying to rationalize it mentally, and this doesn't work either. So what I noticed is that if an invitation comes, and yeah, I really need to be more in the heart space um, to be able to really decline it.
Yes, what you resist persists. So if you can, like you said, drop down into your heart, into your beingness,
Yeah.
the expansiveness.
Yeah, then there's nothing more to say. Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah. Well, and you're an artist. You're an artist too. You're a writer. How do you
Yes.
like? Um, is there since for you since realization? Is there a deeper way, a deeper understanding of creativity for you?
Like with the writing, it's just kind of like whatever wants to come through. It's like an effortless ease. With the writing, it was more like just like flowing, like automatic writing, effortless. It didn't take much effort at all, just to have it flow. It's almost like you're in tune, like just a natural in tuneness, a natural effortless flow of it, just flowing through. It's like your creativity, your intuition. It's almost like I have to go to the mind to even describe it, but it's without going to the mind, I would just say it's just like an effortless, easy flow that's just like coming through. And when there's relaxation and when you're in that, when you're in your beingness or someone's not in it, it's like words are like duality. It's hard to describe, but it's effortless. It's an ease and automaticness, like it's just coming through, flowing.
Yeah. And I also feel it has its own rhythms really. And yeah, I feel like it's not up to us to decide when it will come
Mhm.
through or express itself. We just be available, no? And
Making yourself available. I love that's one of the things David resonated with what David was saying, like with the whole thing with um, people coming to him to the David Bingham character, whatever they were going to him. It all just happened effortlessly. It wasn't like he was trying. He would always say, "I was just making myself available."
yes,
That's all we're really doing. Like when it comes to creativity, is we're just making ourselves available to it, getting ourselves out of the way. What I want to say, like
yeah,
there's
absolutely.
like having the ego or the separate self creep in or the mind creep in, and but just relaxing into it and like you said, making yourself available for it to flow through. I mean, that could be just sitting quietly or even on the call, like we can just sit here quietly and just see what effortless being wants to flow through. Like there's no agenda or no scripting or no nothing in mind ahead of time. It's more like you're just um, relaxing and just openness with clearness, almost like stillness, and then it just flows through when it wants. And like there's
Mm.
not whether it comes or it doesn't, it's just whatever wants to happen. Just an allowing, I guess. Yeah, that might be the word, just allowing of it. to flow. What kind of art do
Yeah.
you do?
I paint.
Beautiful. What
Yeah, I
kind of
paint.
paintings do you have?
Well, a lot. Um, yeah, um, I'm going through kind of a, let's say, a liberation phase with my art at the moment. I
Mhm.
let it really, um, because before I was really like putting it into some kind of, um, I wanted something from it, let's say it like that.
Okay.
Now I don't want it for anything from it anymore. And now
Big
it
difference. Yeah.
expresses quite differently, and it's really really interesting what's happening. And I feel like finally my art can be much more free than it was before. And it's quite as you describe it. Yeah, I I just make myself self available for it. And yeah, whereas before sometimes in the creative process my mind would step in sometimes and tell me if it was good or not or all of these things. And this just it doesn't happen anymore. And the only thing that happens is that Hannah completely disappears, absolutely disappears in the art.
Oh,
Like
Hannah.
there is no, there is just the process, period. And I think that's the really also the magic of creativity, because anyone can do that. Uh, Stepping into this, it's just letting the creative process unfold and not when the creative process unfolds, I think, without the mind's interference. This is what happens to everyone. And that's when people say, oh, it's already 3 hours ago that I started this painting. It felt like no time at all. Or,
Mhm.
oh, I just completely forgot myself, or I didn't notice time. I mean, here it is,
Yeah.
timelessness. Hello.
You're in the zone.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, time
exactly.
is like time is timeless. Yeah, it becomes
Yeah.
timeless.
And yeah, and it's actually it's such an interesting doorway. And yeah, I just think it's so amazing because it's such a beautiful expression of this human life, no? What we are here to do, what we are capable to do when we open ourselves up, what each of us, everyone is capable to do if we open ourselves up. And I feel like creativity really wants to flow in all kinds of different ways, through you it's writing, for me it's painting, for other people it's cooking, it's even taking care of other people, or anything really. It's really pristine actually.
Love that word. Yeah, I mean the infinite being, when you think about it, what comes to mind is when David would talk about the different bodies like you. I mean, effortless being, the body of wisdom is effortless being. And what you're talking about, creativity flows from effortless being. And so when you said, Hannah disappears, it's because that's really happening in unity consciousness and effortless being. It's flowing through and the creativity. So you could really feel a difference. Whereas when the creativity or the painting was happening in through the mind body, then that's where in the dualistic world, that's where Hannah appears going through the doing the painting there. Then it's more about the judgments. Am I going to like this? Are people going to like it? But whereas when you're in the effortless being, it's just flowing without agenda. It's the mind isn't there, the thoughts aren't there trying to comment. That disappears, and you're just in the zone, and you're just flowing. And so time, yeah, like you said, it could be like clock time could be like 8 hours go by, but for you, it just happened a minute ago, like from a time feeling perspective. So
Mhm.
yeah, I always thought it was interesting those bodies when David would talk about how the infinite being is peering through those bodies, because then you'd have different life experiences, and when you relate it to being a painter or a writer, or cooking or whatever it is, when you're manifesting or when you're life experiencing through. effortless being, then it feels effortless. It feels timeless. It flows, and it's the infinite being doing it all through that particular body. But when you're doing it, when you're peering through the body of the mind or the emotions or the food body, those are all in the dualistic world. And so then that's all like effort and striving and mind stuff and like that
Mhm.
commentator and all that kind of stuff. So it's like the infinite being peering through there. And what's empowering to know is that, we can give our energies or peer through any of those filters that we want. I mean, and we're empowered to do it as the infinite being because we're the sovereign being. There's sovereignty when we're operating from the effortless being or from the body of bliss or from the attributeless non-conceptual awareness that we all are. From those bodies, there's unity consciousness and there's infinite intelligence with love. So you can really feel the love. Like, I'm sure if I look at some of these paintings, do you have a place where these paintings are at that people could see? Are you okay with that? Or are you kind of keeping them to yourself? Or
No, I mean, I mean, many of them end up not being shown. It's just my own process, but yeah, if people want to look at it, they can for sure. I share some of them at my Instagram. It's called Earth Art Lab. They can just have a look.
it's called what? Earth what?
Earth Art Lab.
Earth Art Lab?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. I'm gonna check it out. I want to check it out now. I got me really excited.
Yeah,
I'm
please.
sure people listening to the call are going to want to see it too, because those paintings that are on there were from Effortless Being, right? They were flowing through most of them, or some of them, or
Yeah, I mean the recent ones for sure, and the ones I shared because I had this channel before when I was more like into illustration. So
Mhm.
um, I worked with illustration before, and I shared the illustrations there. Also to do with many of those themes and like spirituality, mindfulness, and so on. That started actually more or less in 2020. I started this and. Yeah, and it was more illustration, and some of that stuff was really, most of that was already about the subject, but I feel like the illustrations or the ones that I did before they were, mm, there was still an agenda with them, whereas the new paintings, and there was crazy because there was a big shift in whatever everything style and whatever I don't even see that there is really a big connection between the illustrations and the paintings because they're so different.
Huh?
Um, but yeah, now it's more these paintings and they just happen. And some of them I share and most of them I just keep for myself. But yeah,
There are some
sometimes
on the Instagram then that
yeah,
I could look at or people could look at.
for
That's great.
sure, for sure, for sure.
Do you have one that's a favorite?
Not really.
Mhm.
No.
Nothing in particular comes to mind. Your latest one you did, what was that one about?
I'm at the moment because I'm working with a art teacher. So she's showing me like really lots of different things regarding the painting process. And every time in the class we have a model, a live model. So I draw a lot of make a lot of paintings about the human figure basically.
Ooh.
Um, and so yeah, many of the paintings are a human figure basically. And yeah, and I also talked about this in the video with David that it was funny because my art teacher is um, also very spiritual. I just realized after, but there it was really funny because she told me that I should not just draw the person or the objects, but the spaces in between. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I kind of get it, but I don't really know how to do this. And And then, yeah, she just let me draw the spaces in between for like several sessions. And now I see the spaces in between suddenly. But it's great because it also helped me with the integration of the visual field, you know, seeing everything as one, because I don't exclude the rest of the space when I see. And this was a big help actually. And yeah, and another really interesting thing about painting is that when you see the visual field, you also understand how you can create the illusion of depth on a piece of paper, basically. So it's really interesting
Mhm. That's
because
pretty cool.
because yeah, because then you're like, oh, wow, but what I see in reality, why isn't wouldn't that be the same illusion as the illusion I can create with my paint and my brush and my paper, you know? It's
True. Yes. That's so true.
really yeah, so
Yes,
there are many parallels, many interesting things to learn
definitely a
with
lot of parallels between the art and then the visual field, as you say, the way that we're experiencing it or witnessing it. Because yeah, a
yeah.
lot of times in the visual field, we're just looking at, the objects and the mind's labeling it, TV,
Yeah.
fan, light, but nobody pays attention to the space where all these things are residing,
Mm.
And
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's really interesting how actually art also really does improve when you don't mm, put a label on the thing. If you don't know what it is and you just draw it as you see it, it will turn out much better than when you put a label on it and you try to draw it.
And that's the same way, in reality. Like
Yeah,
the mind wants
yeah,
to put labels on the life experience
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
happening in the eternal now, because
And it just gets
there's only
crappy.
I know, instead of just like, not listening to the silly mind and just residing as the effortless being, everything's happening automatically and it's okay. We don't need to label everything like the mind wants to do or give it such credence. But yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like you're really in the flow with your writing,
Yeah, with
your painting.
yes, and it's such a good help, you know, because for me the visual field was one of the ones most sticky or most difficult to undo and see in Unity consciousness. It was really difficult because for me, like sound is really easy and
Yeah,
you
me
know,
too. Sound is very,
sensations, it's like easy
but,
going, but the
but the
visuals for
visual,
me,
you're seeing the
oh,
separate bodies and the
yes, exactly. So it's like, oof, that's for me, that's the hardest. And the painting process and learning about painting in this way really helps me to deconstruct the visual field itself as well and integrating it into Unity. It's really such a help,
yeah, the
such a
space part
blessing.
too helps too, paying attention to the
Yeah,
space. This is the space
absolutely.
that's here. Any
Yeah.
analogies help you with the visual world? Did you ever hear, I think even David's talked about any analogies come to mind?
Well, for me, the what is it's more, for example, like many of the things my teacher said, my art teacher said, come to my mind, like for example, like I can just have another analogy with the drawing. Like if you just draw the person in the room, you know, you kind of like if you take the paper and you just draw the person, then as if you would like cut the person out of reality and put it somewhere. And then she said, well, you cannot do that in real life. Try to cut out the person from the surroundings and put it somewhere,
Yeah.
you know, just stick it
Oh,
to any
true.
other thing that, but
Good.
you cannot do it. Like it's impossible to separate out either myself, this person, or the closet, or any other person. Like you know, like
Yeah.
as it if would be like Photoshop. You know, like you just like
Yeah. You're taking
you
it
put it
out.
and you
Yeah.
put it on another thing. No,
Can't
it's
do that.
impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes what helps me is starting with the thought that I cannot separate myself out of this. I cannot separate this body out of the experience or anything other, like any other object, a supposedly object. You cannot. you cannot just take it out of this one experience. It's impossible. And then when you give yourself to this and soften into this understanding, then this oneness reveals itself in your experience. Um, and yeah, and also what helped me, what David said once was um, actually when you look, you see everything arising equally. You don't see something that's here more than you see something that's here. You don't see
Right.
this finger more than you see this finger, even though
Mm,
they're, you know,
yeah.
it's
It's
you see all of it equally. And for the mind, it's like, what? No. But actually in your direct experience, the more you go there and you're really open to explore this sincerely without the overlay, you actually see, yeah, yeah. And then the expansion comes, and then the love comes again, and then this is naturally seen as the truth more and more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that you said direct experience because that's been my direct experience, has been that too, where everything's arising equally. And I love the way you did that with the fingers because it's true, they're both arising equally and effortlessly in this space of beingness, but the thoughts come in, the mind comes in and wants to say,
Yeah.
this is the right finger, this is the left, that's let's cut the person out, take him out of the thing,
Yeah.
put him, but it's all one, and this whole space is the beingness.
Yeah,
It's all of it. I love the way you said that
definitely.
direct experience is king. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And anything you can apply to that direct experience is, yeah, that's it actually.
Yeah, that is
That's
it.
it. Direct experience. Yeah, that's it.
Period. The
Nothing
end.
else than that. Yeah.
Hard stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I sent you this email and I just wanted to read a little bit to you. I know this is when I was looking at your interview with David and I wrote like a reflection, embracing effortless being. In the quiet stillness of this moment, I am reminded of the profound simplicity of effortless being. There is no striving here, no pushing or pulling as life to make it conform to the mind's relentless demands. Instead, there is a resting, a deep, abiding recognition that I am not the story the mind tells, not the roles.
I love it. It's so beautiful, really.
Yeah, I had written you that, and then you wrote back that it resonated with you in a deep
Yeah.
way.
It really touched me that the text and the way you write, it's really, really, really beautiful. It's really straight to the heart, I feel.
Right to the
Yeah.
heart, to the
Yeah.
direct. That's my direct experience in listening to you and David express yourselves, and I just had to tell you that that was my reflection that I had
That's
seen.
and I'm really, really glad that yeah, that effortless being reveals itself through your writing, no? Or that you let it go
Right.
out of
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
said, just making myself available through, the writing, and effortless being is,
Yeah.
like you said, keeping the Rob character out of the way and just letting effortless being do what it wants,
Yeah.
just through the
Yeah.
writing or the YouTube channel or, having conversations with people. I also do, I also go on cruise ships and meet with people one on one, talking to them about their true nature. I'm going to be in July. I'm flying to Amsterdam, getting on a celebrity cruise there. I've already have people lined up to talk with them on the cruise ship, and that's going to be. You said, are you in Germany?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine goes to the first stop actually is Berlin, Germany. I don't know if you know where that is.
Where?
Berlin, Germany.
Berlin. Yeah, I live there.
Oh, you do? Oh, I didn't know. Oh,
Yeah.
look at synchronicity. That's going to be my first stop. I think
But that's not
flying.
on the seaside. Or you go
It's one of
through
the stops through the
the
cruise
river.
ships that we
Oh.
stop there, and then I guess you get like a day to go explore Berlin, Germany.
Hmm.
That's one of them. And then it's going to go to like Estonia, Denmark, Sweden, like all those, all the ones that are along there.
Hmm. Okay. Have you ever been in Europe?
That was my first time. Effortless
Oh,
Being is having me go there, I guess.
interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, I've been
Wow.
doing that. And then I've done a couple of these already, just meeting with people on the cruise ships and just doing like one-on-ones, talking to
Mm-hmm.
them about their true nature. There's one I have coming up in the end of March that goes out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And that one
Mm-hmm.
goes to Dominican Republic, St. Martin, St. Lucia, like the islands over there. But I'm really excited about the Europe one because I've never been. I've been on the ones for the Caribbean and Fort Lauderdale, Miami, that whole thing, but haven't really experienced Europe. So I'm excited about that one. That one going to be that's a long one. I'm going to be like 3 weeks in Europe, going all around to that
Wow.
area. But so
That's
what's to see in Berlin?
I mean, it's not at the seaside actually, not at all. It's on the riverside. So I don't really know how you'll get here with the cruise ship, but let's
I don't
see.
know. It's on the thing, so I'm not sure where that exactly is. But you're
Yeah,
actually in the Berlin, Germany, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's the capital. It still needs some time to go to the seaside, like
Yeah.
still what I don't know, 1.5, 2 hours
Oh, okay.
to the East Sea or to the North Sea. But well, maybe when once you get the route more
Yeah, I'll get
detailed.
the route down. Yeah, I could email you and tell you where it is. See if you can
Yeah,
give me some
yeah.
direction
Yeah,
as to what's going.
but it will. I'm sure it will be fun. And how do you get in touch with this kind of how does that happen?
Yeah, the way it happened like was through the YouTube channel. So then I would talk to people and find out where they are, and then they'd be like, just like you and I talking. They'd be like, okay, let's get together and get on that. Also, before this, I had been involved with Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you know who that is. Law of
I heard.
Attraction.
Ah, yeah. Well, I heard his name, but no, I'm not really
Yeah,
into
Yeah, it was
what.
it was before self-realization. I had been into like manifesting, and law of attraction was a big one. And that was one of them was it's called Abraham, and they would go on these Abraham Hicks cruises, and they would have on the ship they would have an auditorium, and then people would come up on the stage into what they call the hot seat, and they would ask questions like, how do I want this relationship, or how do I get this money, like all the things that the world wants, the people want. And a lot of them were finding that. So I was known in that community. And a lot of them were finding that they put forth like a lot of effort to get
Mm,
that. Then through self-realization, of course, you realize that effortless being is whole and complete, and everything's manifesting effortlessly, and you don't need to manifest from striving and hard work, but it's all naturally arising and from effortless being. And that's where the true joy is. The true joy and happiness isn't out there in the world through some relationship, some material thing, but you already are that. You're already the happiness, you're already the bliss, you're already the joy, you are everything. So a lot of people were coming through on getting contact me with that. So, and also through the book too, people have been contacting me. Um, and then I would just put it out there that, I'm just make yourself available. And so it's just kind of then word of mouth happens, and then
yeah,
how that flow, and then just effortless being just does its
yeah,
thing, I guess. Yeah, it's just like in a world like I would have never even dreamed like, any of this kind of stuff would be happening. But it's whatever
yeah,
effortless being was. It's just effortlessly flowing. But it's kind of fun though. I'm having fun with it.
yeah. You just go with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just gotta go with the flow of it. And it's just been you meet all these interesting people. Like I would have never met someone like you, a beautiful being that you are, that's into art and like the way you expressed yourself on David's call and realizing your true nature. Like I would have never met you and tons of other people all over the world,
Mm,
beautiful people that just love life, that are kind and loving, and and all kinds of backgrounds and cultures, and it's just fascinating.
yeah. It's so diverse, no? It's really, yeah, it's so beautiful how life expresses itself in so many different forms. No, it's so uniquely beautiful each way and yeah, it's really magical, no, and I really love to listen to other people's yeah, journeys as well because it's so uniquely beautiful how being expresses itself in every single way, and also how truth reveals itself in all these different ways and slightly different ways for everyone. No, it's no one has exactly the same journey as someone else. It's all super unique, but also similar in a way, no? But
That's that's what makes it so interesting and so fascinating, is the different journeys that people have and you listening to them. It's such a rewarding thing. I don't know, it just feels good and it just brings the aliveness, the joy, the bliss, the love, that you can see. You really get to experience it and it's just great. It's fascinating.
yeah, absolutely. It's
And one of the things David had, I don't know if you saw he has his own website now. I don't know if you saw
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
The new
And then
one.
yeah, the new one. And then he
Yeah, it's
had
so great.
were you on the conference call yesterday?
Yes,
I was
you
on that
too.
too. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was on that
Nice.
call and that was interesting. Maybe we could talk about that for a second. How did you think the call went?
Sorry, how the call went?
Yeah, were any highlights for you or on the call?
Oh, I don't know. I just found it so beautiful to suddenly I mean, even though it was a virtual space, to be there at the same time with all of those people, no, and all of
Yeah,
these
it was cool.
different, I don't know, it was such a, I think it was such a beautiful energy, and I think it has something really magical when people come together at the same time. Whereas maybe most of us are more used to, being in our own little room by ourselves, just watching quietly the YouTube videos. But instead being all together and just listening to each other just at the same time, it's beautiful. I think it's really nice. And yeah, I also feel that maybe more community can develop from there. That would be lovely, I think.
Yeah, I'd love to see more community get. I think that's what's going to be happening because I see people from all over getting on there, and a lot of them were self-realized. I guess there's a few maybe that were still asking questions, and trying to realize their true nature. Some of it was people that, like you said, integrating, their true nature, into everyday life. We heard some of that on the call, and it looks like David's going to be doing these calls, I guess monthly. I don't know. We'll see how
Yeah.
effortless being how it all flows, but it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I also think so. I'm really happy he's doing that.
Yeah, I think that's the community is a good thing, like you said, like sometimes maybe talking to family or friends. Yours has been great so far, though. It sounds like they're really receptive and listening. Some people, maybe they don't have where they can talk to somebody about this because
Absolutely.
it's like a way that you can do that. The community.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, yes, totally. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's really good to, yeah, to see that I don't know, to just have this exchange. I really think that it's really helpful and beautiful to have this human exchange and to, yeah, build connections all over the world.
That's pretty cool, right?
Making a web of effortless being around the globe.
Yeah, I love that. Web effortless being.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like like people when I'm talking to them, I feel like I've known them forever. It's like because like you've discovered your true nature, and and like there's certain things I can talk to you about, like and you get it, kind of thing. Like it's kind of cool, like being able to do that.
Yes. Yes, it's really, really cool. It's so, yeah, great. And I'm really happy that you reached out and that you wrote me the email and sending me your beautiful texts and that we came together today. It's really,
Yes.
it's really
Thank
cool.
you so much for coming on. It's been a beautiful conversation. Thank you
Yeah,
so
you're
much.
very
And yeah, I'll
welcome.
let you know what the agenda is. I don't know, like how that will work out, but we'll see what happens from
Yeah.
there. But it was
Thank you
just so
so
nice
much.
talking with you and keep up the good work with the art. And I'll check it out on Instagram,
Yeah.
check out your
And
art.
and and also tell me where I can find more about your writing. I mean, except from the book. Maybe
Yeah,
you
I
also
have a
have a page.
YouTube channel called Effortless Being.
Ah,
And I'm gonna,
yeah,
if it's okay with you, I'd put this on there as well.
yeah, you can do that.
I'll email you the link so you can see it and you can see all the different interviews that I've done already. There's a lot of interviews on there, similar to David, how I've done a lot of interviews with people, and you'll probably recognize some of the people from David's channel as well, which is also building like a community that way as well.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and all my
Yeah,
books are on there too. You know, if anything resonates, I have all of that on the Effortless Being YouTube channel as well.
cool,
Different
cool, cool.
resources and stuff like that for community
Very nice.
building and stuff.
Very nice.
Thank you again, Hannah, so much. Thanks for
You're
sharing. Thanks for
welcome,
taking
Rob.
time
Thank
out. That's
you.
beautiful. Very
Thank you for
beautiful.
your time. Thank you for everything. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your work and keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you. You too.
You
Thank
cannot
you.
do otherwise, right?
Yeah, it's just
Just
going to happen effortlessly anyway. So effortless
yeah, you
being,
can't
right?
help it. Yeah.